Yes. Red Dragon the main, and oh yes, it's time to talk about the MLP, a new generation. Yeah, because but I'm totally late. I get busy, man. I can't get a chance to talk about. I can't get a chance to talk about this like right on point like I used to. So, but yes, we're gonna talk about. We're gonna definitely talk about MLP New Generation. And if you haven't seen it, know that this will have contain major spoilers. It will contain the major spoilers, all spoilers. First thing, the movie starts off strong because it's that it's the main six. It's all six, all the main six. They're back, and it seems like it's about to start an adventure or something like that. But it turns out it's just Sunny and Sprout and Hitch. They're playing with main six action figures. Yeah. And even in that first scene, there's an insane amount of references, like visual references that meant they are mentioned like low key, but visually, yeah, there's a lot of references to a ton of stuff. I was watching, I was pointing out like, ooh, this Star Scroll, ooh, this the Wonder Bolt, ooh, this is that. It's like, okay, sweet, but it got very strange, and then because Sprout's mom, uh, she kind of got a little thing about other pony races because Sprout's dad, cause Sunny's dad, he's like a really nice guy, and just like hey, he's just being like he's a really nice guy. He's like really imaginative, creative, and stuff like that, and it's just like he kind of like that neighborhood dude that's just like cool with all everybody, like all the kids like him and stuff like that. But now the other ponies around him are like, y'all might want to stay away from that guy. He ain't right in the head of the line of thinking, cause you're gonna find out when you watch this movie just how they when they talk about divisive, they really do mean divisive. My goodness. but Sunny, she talks to her dad about uh, the hope that they could possibly meet a unicorn one day and see that they have magic, because it's kind of the prejudice in maritime bays that unicorns are evil and vicious beings with magic that will hurt you and those you love, and it's just there's that. Um, but Sunny does not believe that, nor does her dad, because like they recall, and of course, just as Sunny's gonna get put into bed, they kind of recap low key about what happened on Fritz's Magic and all that good stuff. And he ends up making her this like kind of cool little mobile thing. Remember that for later, because that's gonna be surprisingly important later. I didn't I didn't expect it, but just remember that for later. But before she goes to bed, actually, she ends up making this little letter that says, "You have friends in Maritime Bay," and it's setting off on a lantern. So this is gonna be pretty. It's gonna be. It's gonna be pretty cool. I guess Maritime Bay is gonna be like the new Ponyville. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. So it's years later. Sunny's kind of out and about, and she roller skates. I thought that was cute. Make a great action figure, which might very well be in stores right now, or in lots of fan art that you might see on Equestria Daily, or you can probably purchase from an artist that you definitely just should support. But yes, she's going through town because she feels like it's gonna, yeah, and the song is just, it's uber catchy. All the songs, like, I mean, it's MLP. A lot of songs gonna be uber catchy. I thought that was pretty dope. I thought they're pretty dope. I mean, just like in Friendship's Magic, they use the music to push the plot forward, and well, because I feel like they get that a little bit from Disney, or very much from Disney, because Disney does the same thing, use these songs to push the plot forward, and that's pretty cool. And now, as they gotten older, I feel like it's heavily implied that Sunny's dad passed away, because he ain't. She really point out that yeah, she missed him. So, or maybe not, or maybe not. He could very well still be around because this is only the movie. Maybe the series might answer questions. That's something I was hearing a lot. Oh, that's well, not maybe not hearing. I was seeing a lot on social media. It's like a lot of people was like, "Oh, this and that." But it's only the movie is only kicking off the series. Once the series comes to Netflix, we'll probably get more answers about what happened. But I want to save that part of my thoughts on the movie to the end, and just try to, and like I said, I'll try to keep on track because I'm trying not to go off on a tangent. There's Hitch and his deputy, Sprout, little red pony with blonde hair, voiced by Ken Jeong and James Marsden, respectively. And remember, now James Marsden has done both Sonic and MLP. I feel like he even makes a reference in this because like there's little critters following him. It's like, why do I always attract little critters? Because yeah, if you think about it, MLP, Sonic, and Hop, all three movies where he's in, where he has little critters following him around. So yeah, I thought that was a cool reference. It might have been a cool reference to a lot of stuff that James Marsden has done in the past few years, like with very kid friendly movies. But I thought that was a cool reference. But anyway, Hitch and Sprout, they kind of know that Sonny's up to something. That they have this. There's a big thing for a tech company for Sprout's mom, and that's it. It's kind of neat. It's kind of an interesting little departure from the series because like even in MLP, they didn't really have an emphasis on technology, but yeah, this really shows it has an emphasis on technology because Sprout's mom has created technology for dealing with Pegasi and unicorns. Like she's got like this little containment unit where like the horn sticks out the top, like little box, and then there's another one where it's like attacking like Pegasi by having like these big binoculars, and one pony gets dragged out the window. It gets dragged out the window of the balloons. It's just like I feel like that's a big old Pinkie Pie reference right there. That has to be a big Pinkie Pie reference. I just thought it was funny, but it made me instantly think of like Pinkie Pie. It's pretty cool. Sonny crashes the big showcase by showing a protest that yes, unicorns and Pegasi and Earth ponies all can live together in peace. There were lies that has been fed to people, and it's just like so she kind of ruins it and all that kind of stuff. Well, she kind of like messes it up. She gets slung around. She gets like this little goop flung at her and stuff like that. But she gets taken out of there. Hitch gets like, yo, hey, you know, you've been doing this way too much. You're gonna end up getting ostracized by pretty much everyone, including me. Cut it out. So yeah, I feel like that's just something. There's something interesting about this movie, and I think, yeah. But eventually, Sonny ends up running into what's probably going to be like the breakaway star of the whole freaking G5, of Izzy, good old Izzy with her extra long hair. So she showed up in Maritime Bay, and just like we saw in the trailer, everybody's freaking out and everybody's going full ham, just like everybody going full ham, jumping off the not the cliff, but like jumping off the railways, and like just like in super mega panic mode, and everybody getting caught like the little unicorn containment units that they showed in the tech showcase. So like but Sprout like puts himself in there on purpose because he's being he was being a big chicken because Hitch was gonna he was gonna go ahead and arrest Izzy, and all of a sudden Sonny takes her way back to her house, and it's just like, oh yeah, but it's Sonny who ends up asking Izzy a bunch of questions and say like, can you do magic? Can you do this? What's your favorite pizza topping? What's this? What's that? So, but Izzy says that she can't use her powers because somehow, some way, her powers ended up disappearing. This is also something I think is interesting about the movie, but I'll get to that when I get to a certain part. Meanwhile, just as Izzy and Sunny leave to go and to embark on their journey, Hitch ends up getting ready to follow them, and he puts Sprout in charge of Maritime Bay, and it's put out quite clearly that Sprout's very jealous of Hitch. Hitch even has his own calendar. That got me laughing. That was pretty fantastic little visual gag, and I thought it was honestly pretty cool, and but yeah, it gets real with Sprout, like, because his mom kind of fills his head. It's like, hey, you're the new sheriff now, you know. I mean, you could be doing some stuff that you want to do, you know. It's like you're filling your head with kind of feeding Sprout's ego, and I feel like his need to please his mom, and but it just goes out of control from there. So it's like, and yeah, they pretty much put it out there quite easily on that Hitch is a lot better at his job than Sprout is. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. But Hitch has decided to go after Izzy and Sunny so that he can go ahead and arrest both of them and bring them to justice. Izzy and Sunny end up going to Zephyr Heights, and but before they even get there, they met up by, well, Zip, who is pretty cool. It's kind of like a combo, like Rainbow, she's like Rainbow Dash, but she's doing her own thing. But and that's the cool thing about this version of MLP, is the fact that they're all just like, you may see a lot of similarities to the main six with the rest of them, but at the same time, they're just doing their own thing, and I really like that about this. They're not like, I feel like a lot of people, because yeah, definitely I see a lot of similarities with Pinky and Izzy, and a lot of with Sunny and Twilight, a lot with Rainbow and Zip, and then Rarity with Pip. Well, I'm gonna get to her in a minute, but yes, I think oh yeah, and a bit of like Fluttershy with the big ego with the Hitch, but I think it's gonna. I think they're all awesome. But anyway, so the two end up getting caught by the guards and brought straight to Zephyr Heights, which, by the way, is like a huge, like, this, like, going to Oz. It's like, reminded me. I don't know how this reminded me of Oz from Wizard of Oz, of the Land of Oz, with like the Emerald City. That's what I mean. But all of a sudden, it's just like insane amount of like MLP, like not MLP references, but like good pony puns and like a lot of references to other media like CBS, Spotify, Sony, and it's all for a pony gag audience. I imagine that the people that worked on this movie, when they got to the part of Zephyr Heights, they probably had so much fun making all the pony related media and others kind of, and also lots of puns and stuff like that. It looks really cool. So yeah, they're brought in by the guards, but there's also Pip too, which is Zip's sister, and she's like this social media superstar. Like, that's why I brought up Rarity and Pip, because she's like, and I think that's awesome for a concept for a character, that she's a social media influencer, like on YouTube, Facebook, and like YouTube and like Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and I have a big and she has like a gargantuan following, and I think that's just amazing. I think it's amazing, and it's just like, wow. But but on top of being a social media influencer, Pip is also a singer. They're going to have a performance with her soon. So they're brought to the Queen, and they try to ask questions, about what's going on, because they do mention that that Izzy can't use her powers. But it seems like the Pegasi, specifically the royal family of Pip, Zip, and the Queen, they can fly, and it seems just fine. But but go back to my point about the flying. It seems like they can fly, and only they can fly, or can they? one part in the movie is probably my favorite. One part of the movie is probably my favorite joke in the movie. Is like it's Hitch. So he's finally caught up to he's finally mostly caught up and he's close to Zephyr Heights, but I don't think he realizes it yet. And he's like, I'm still gonna. And he gives like this speech to like a big grouping of like little bunny creatures that he's gonna bring in Sonny and Izzy, and it's like really foggy behind him, and the fog starts to clear up, and it's like two giant pictures of like Sonny and Izzy in their mugshots. I thought that was hilarious. That is a very good. That's a very good joke, and I really liked it. But also getting back to the task at hand. Uh, Zip ends up talking with Sonny and Izzy, and all of a sudden, and then of course Pip comes down because she's like, I'm not doing it. I'm doing it for the content, baby. I'm doing it for the content. So it's like, uh, so I thought, yeah, that sounds a lot like a social media influencer, like some social media influencers. But but Zip ends up breaking him out of jail because they try to come up with a plan because you see, actually, they comes up with the first of what's known as like the what they call it, the unicorn, like the Pegasi crystal, and then because with Zip and Pip's mom, her crown is part of the crystal, is a crystal that has the powers of the for the Pegasi to be able to fly. So Izzy, Sonny, and Zip, they concoct a plan while Pip's doing her performance. They're gonna sneak and snatch the crown off her head so they can take the crystal. So that way they can see it. They can use the power. They can use the powers to bring back magic for the Pegasi. Because you see, Zip says that no Pegasi can actually fly due to the loss of magic. With the crystal, they'll be able to bring it back. But there's more to it than that. But there's a little more to it. I'll get into it. Go ahead and do they go ahead and try to enact the plan, but the little winged little, it's cute though, little puffy poodle, little puffy dog with wings comes after them. That kind of catches on to the plan just as Pip's doing her performance. They kind of mess it up. They also run into Hitch because he's in there too, and he gets kind of caught up in the scheme and stuff like that, and he ends up having to dance his way out of the situation. But they all end up getting caught by Hitch. Oh, but then also Pip and the royal family end up getting exposed for not being able to not actually being able to fly, and it's just been a gigantic lie. And then of course, like, news spreads so fast. And then the queen ends up getting arrested, but she can't miss the chance to get a good picture. And then also Pip and Zip are gonna do to get arrested too. So they all take off. They all end up taking off with Sonny and Hitch and Izzy. I forgot to mention that Zip, while they're talking about the unicorn, about the what's known as the unicorn crystal, there's the Pegasi crystal, that the two can be brought together to restore magic to the to be able to restore magic. But Izzy also talks about what's called luminescence, where I guess like only unicorn can see it, and she mentions it quite a bit when they say, "Oh, your luminescence is aquamarine, your luminescence is red," all that good stuff. That's a part I did not mention, and I think that honestly, I think that's a pretty cool. I think that's a cool concept. I think it's a cool thing for like MLP characters. It kind of sets them apart, and like I think that's pretty neat. But Zip mentions that because they have like the stained glass, kind of like when Friendship is Magic, where they had whenever they went to Canterlot, there's like the big stained glass things that are behind them that show that show the things that the main six has done. They show the pictures of like of like Celestia or Luna or Twilight in the main six, or the pillars or stuff like that. And yeah, I thought those were pretty. I thought that was a pretty cool kind of callback to Friendship is Magic. But yes, the new main five end up ducking out of Zephyr Heights in the height of the biggest scandal that Zephyr Heights has ever seen. So they go ahead and go to Bridalwood, which is Izzy's home. So they end up meeting Alpha Brittle and this big dude with a lot of gray hair, voiced by Phil Lamar, probably one of my favorite voice actors, by the way. Samurai Jack and Wilt from Foster Home Imaginary Friends and Hermes from Futurama, which is, by the way, his first voice actor role was Mr. T in the Mr. T cartoon in the 80s, which is awesome. But he's more like this game master, and he just happens to have the unicorn crystal in his possession. So, just like in the trailer, Sonny challenges him to a game. But they do like a Dance Dance Revolution for ponies, cause he I really like it, and like the huge contrast and like how Zephyr Heights has a lot of technology. It, Bridalwood has like little critters that do it, kind of like in Friendship is Magic, kind of like closer to Friendship is Magic. I like that. How they didn't really had limited technology, or they just had the way that they did it. They just kind of had like really cool ways that they were able to make it happen, and still have the same effect. So yes, uh, it, Alpha Brittle mentions that if Sonny can beat him with, you can get even one win out of three, then he'll give her the unicorn crystal. But Sonny does win, they give her the crystal, and so they try to see. And now that they have two pieces, I forgot to mention that Izzy does like kind of like this. It's a really cool song. It's a really cool song with kind of like this K-pop feel to it at some point, because she's gonna make disguises for them because they're Pegasi and Earth ponies. So yeah, they're gonna go ahead and have disguises for them just while Sonny tries to play the game against Alpha Brittle. So he's gonna have that kind of goes down. That kind of goes south. But the funniest thing about Bridalwood is that even though they lost their magic, it have various lots of superstitions. And they have like banned words like feather, magic, and mayonnaise. I want to know the story behind that. Or I'd imagine in the series it had like, I feel like it might be like the running gag that doesn't really have an answer. It's just goofy. I think that would be pretty funny. But yeah. But whenever somebody says like the banned word, they give this freak out like bing bong. That's this real freak out. It's hilarious. Um I think it was pretty cool because they end up using it again to get them distracted while they try to leave with the crystal just after Sunny ends up winning it. So yeah. Oh, I also forgot to mention that while they're doing their thing in Bridalwood, Sprout back in Maritime Bay is actually going off the deep end by having things constructed, having something constructed, and I'm gonna mention it later, but but it's gonna be the most me thing I've ever mentioned. Well, it's gonna be the most me thing I've ever mentioned doing the video. Uh, but because he's kind of gone off the deep end, Matt, with power, so he's kind of rallied everybody in Maritime Bay and kind of like so become like a professional fear monger of like talking about how the unicorns and the Pegasi are out to get us. It's a us versus them type thing, and it's just like, wow, it really just goes off the deep end. It reminds me a lot of Scar on the Lion King, of how he was able to get like the hyenas to do his bidding, but not to the same degree, of course. But yeah, Sprout ends up kind of radicalizing a lot of people. I mean, a lot of ponies to kind of do his thing. He's like us versus them, and turn into like a giant army and stuff like that. It's huh. But hey, MLP has done this in the past. So anyway, back in Bridalwood, just as the group gets out of there, they end up running into the Queen again and her guards. They're gonna end up running into the Queen again, and then the Queen ends up running into the other unicorns, and it's about to break out into a fight. But Sunny and Izzy, they just mentioned about the crystals, so they put them together, and nothing happens. Unfortunately, this bums out Sunny. Dejected, she returns the crystals and goes back with Hitch, and he doesn't arrest her. He feels really bad for her, but just as Sunny was just about to take down all of her pony merch, it's like, oh, man, you feel sad for her. You really do, because like throughout the whole movie, she has like this great optimism that is really infectious. It's very MLP. It's very MLP, and I think that's always been the thing. Is like the thing with MLP, even back on French's Magic, it has a lot of optimism. That's just very, just cool. I always liked it, and that's what drew me to it back then. Uh, and I'm glad it still stays true to it. But just as Sunny's about to get everything put away, including her including the little mobile lamp that her dad made. The beginning, he turned it on. There's a little lamp part at the top where it would show like this kind of carousel of all three pony races. It's just cascading on the walls like a little disco ball. She looks at that little lamp, but then she looks at the extra parts and realizes that little crystal on the top of the lamp, it was like a third crystal. So she ends up trying to go back to tell Hitch so that they can go ahead and get out there, so they can go ahead and go back and try to find Zip and Pip. So, but it's kind of Zip, Pip, and Izzy. So it's a little too late because now Hitch has seen that Sprout's kind of taking over, and he's starting to go to war. He wants to go to war because I was holding this because immediately because Sprout was constructing his own. He's kind of having a big robot and his likeness constructed, and immediately I thought he just had his own Zord made. Sprout wants to be a Power Ranger. Sprout wants to be a Power Ranger because he just made the Sprout Zord. Sprout Zord, power up! But but he ends up using it to go and attack. He ends up using it to go and find Sunny and attack. So, yeah, it's pretty, yeah. But Izzy and Pip and Zip, they go to help Sunny, but they try to get the three crystals back together. So when they end up succeeding, which okay, so the unicorns end up getting their powers back. The Pegasi are able to fly again, and Sunny ends up getting kind of pseudo alicorn powers. I don't know if it stick. I have no idea if it's gonna stick or not. But she ends up getting the horn and the wings, so it's like a big, oh, cool. So she ends up getting pseudo alicorn powers. So it's pretty amazing. Oh, and they also defeat Sprout too by tipping over his Zord. How many? What? That's actually not so. Honestly, that's not so different from what happens on Power Rangers. They get tripped up during the Zord fights. It's like, hey, what can you do? Except, hey, it's just like season 2 of Mighty Morphin, or the end of season. Actually, no, the beginning of season 3, where the Thunder Zords came apart. Never forget. Darn, curse you, Rito. You destroyed my favorite Zords. Sprout's defeated, the magic is back, and what I never noticed is that when you look on their hooves, that they have a little heart shape on there. That's cute. But other than that, that was MLP The Next Generation. Now, there's a couple things I actually messed up on. I was like, yeah, so Sunny's dad did pass away when she got a little older, and then fanfic writers, do your thing. Because there's a lot of side effects coming. I can just hear the typing right now as the side effects are being written about how Sunny's father might have died, and then but yeah, I got that wrong. Um, but okay, so my thoughts on the movie. Yeah, it was awesome. It's exactly what you'd expect from MLP. When it definitely starts the next generation for Gen 5, and yeah, I'm very happy about how they're gonna use this as the kind of the launching point for the series, and I can't wait to see because they can't go they I don't know they can't go like a deep detail about Twilight and them or something like that, or yeah, they can't go like a detail about what happened with the Twilight. They just gotta establish their own thing, be its own thing, and because it really doesn't have much in the way of things related to G5, but it does it because it's doing its own thing and it's establishing its own set of rules and stuff like that, which would make for great plots in the series and stuff like that. So I think that's a pretty cool thing that they're doing with MLP Gen 5, and because we're not gonna know about we're because like again I can't stress this enough that we're not gonna be able to get any of that info until the series starts whenever it comes out on Netflix. So just to wait for we just to wait and see kind of attitude, and also there's a couple more things other than like what I mentioned at the beginning with a lot of the visuals, like they have like a picture of the Wonderbolt, the stained glass, and Zephyr Heights that reminded me a lot of like episodes when they're in Canterlot. Um, there's a lot of the stuff that Sony had in the room. There's also something for Star Swirl, and then of course the book that she had that had Twilight's cutie mark. So there's more to it than that. Then there's also there's so much. There's a lot of unanswered questions, and of course one of the things in MLP Gen 5 was the kind of the theme of prejudice and misinformation and all kinds of just not so great things that have parallels to things that have a lot of parallels to stuff that can happen in real life. Um, this ain't man, I think I remember looking around on Twitter. A lot of people weren't too happy about it, but again, like you got to go back to see that to Gen 4. Starlight Glimmer was like the whole. Starlight Glimmer was like that that episode. I remember seeing that the first time. That shocked me. It's like wow, that got dark, and then so but yeah, what Sprout did is like very interesting, and then it's just like but just like Starlight, people's biggest complaint was the fact that Sprout was never punished. But then again, a lot of the jail, like if you look at the scene with Pip, I mean with Izzy and Sunny in jail in Zephyr Heights, it was actually pretty lavish instead of dark and dreary. There's that, and yeah, and then Starlight got to become Twilight's apprentice and like one of her good friends, and learn from mistakes. And I think that's kind of interesting, kind of parallel between the two series. But yeah, there's that. Of course, I mean, yeah, there's a whole heck of a lot that's going on in there. But it's just, I mean, because Starlight had at the beginning of season 5 literally had a whole village under her control at the same time doing like a lot of like propaganda type stuff. But so like, oh, you don't need cutie marks. We all gotta be equal. That was like a big meme in the Brony community for like back in 2015, 2016. It's like, okay, that's insane, and there's just so much more. I mean, there's so much, so much. I absolutely loved about this movie. Of course, it looked really cool, like visually. A lot of cool things. Like I said, like when Izzy and Sunny were in Zephyr Heights, there's a lot of different media references, like CBS, Spotify, Sony, all kinds of. I think even a T-Mobile reference or something like that. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty funny. It actually reminded me a bunch of Shark Tale because there's a lot of visual references in there too. or a lot of movies that do have like big cities and they have make a lot of visual references, like yeah, like Shark Tale and A Bug's Life. Um, I think even in Zootopia they make a lot of references there. It just all kinds of just interesting. I think and then even a lot of anime they have a lot of visual media references and stuff like that. In like in different pop cultures, say, "Oh, there's that." I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I brought up Shark Tale, that frightening movie. But other than that, let's see. I like how different, how distinctly different each city was. And Maritime Bay, yeah, like I said, it's a lot like Ponyville, where it has kind of limited technology, but they make it work by doing all kinds of different stuff. Zephyr Heights was like a freaking like a California, New York type place, or like heavily technologically advanced and stuff like that. And then of course Bridalwood, which is kind of in the same vein. It's like same Maritime Bay, but just but like slightly different. It just I thought it was honestly pretty cool. But I'm looking forward very much so to the subsequent series that we're gonna be getting. Uh, oh, there's actually something else I wanted to touch on before I exit this video. The voice cast, yeah, everybody was awesome. There was James Marsden, Vanessa Hudgens, there was Ken Jeong as Sprout, and something that I did not realize until I watched the credits. There's Heather Langenkamp, you know, Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I did not know until I saw the name Heather Langenkamp Anderson. Cause her husband does like his last name Anderson. He does like a horror movie props, but what I did not know, this is Heather Langenkamp. I did not catch that until I saw the credits. That is awesome. That is amazing, to be honest with you. It's like I wasn't expecting that name to pop up, but there you go. But I really enjoyed MLP Gen 5, and I cannot wait for the series to come out, man. Now I know I was all over the place, but I was having a good time with this movie, and I think this what this does. It just wants to give you a good time. It doesn't really want to like wants to give you a good time. It doesn't necessarily want to throw out the lore all over the place. It wants to get as much as it can right now. Maybe we can have the series, and have it continue, and have it grow, and have it be awesome. Have it be awesome. But on that note, that's going to be it for this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know if I post another video. And I will see you in the next video because it's Googleicious. Peace.